Hey everybody. Well, I wanted to talk to you guys today about something that I put up on Facebook a little while ago. And I thought the best way to do it would be kind of in person and in video. So, what I'm going to be talking about is bullying. And what I put on Facebook was a little bit of a different type of point of view towards bullying, and a lot of people seem to, resonate with it. So what I'm going to do is I got a big list here, see, and we're going to kind of cover some of the experiences that I've had. I'm going to have to unfortunately rehash some of it, but if it can help you out, then I'm all for it. So let me start off with my experience. I have been bullied ever since I can remember. It goes way back to even first grade. My parents decided to get me into karate to defend myself because of how bullied I was. Well, I had this one kid. His name was C.J. McCory. I'll never forget him. And for some reason, we used to be friends. And then one day, he just decided, I'm going to attack you. And I don't know if he meant it viciously or if it was just his way of being playful. I don't know what it was. But he did a lot of damage to me. And so one of the things that I did was I took karate and I learned how to defend myself. Now, out of this particular situation when I was younger, I actually met one of my best friends in the world. CJ was actually attacking him one day when we were at school out in the parking lot playground. We didn't have a playground; we had a parking lot, and he was sitting by himself. And CJ comes up and starts picking on him, and I decided to stand up for my friend. And by doing so, we became best friends, and we have been friends 35 years. So it's been a long time. So something good did come out of that particular situation. But as I grew up, I realized that I wasn't technically like everybody else. I stuck out. Not necessarily trying to stick out. I just seemed to stick out. I never flowed with the crowd like everybody else did. I wanted to be my own individual person. So if everybody was at the time in the 90s was wearing Z Cavaricis, I didn't wear Z Cavaricis. If everybody had Mad Dog shirts, I didn't have Mad Dog shirts. And that's okay. That's the way I wanted it to be. But unfortunately, I did bring a lot of unnecessary attention to myself because I stuck out like a sore thumb. But as I got into high school, things got a lot worse. When I was in high school, I actually had somebody try to cut me with a razor blade. I had somebody staple my shirt and my pants to my body. I actually had I was attacked from behind, jumped when I was out at the ag lab in 8th grade, and what they did was they shoved fertilizer in my mouth, and it burned my mouth. I had some pretty serious sores in my mouth for a couple of days, and I got very sick. People would walk by and just knock my books out, laugh at me. They would call me names. A lot of them talked about me behind my back, and I would always hear from it on the third-party system. And it does get to you. I'm not going to say it doesn't. And being bullied for years upon years upon years, it just happens. It's how you deal with it, and that's what I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes. I actually was run over in a car by one of my bullies too. That came about my junior year, I believe it was, and I even got to the point where I had to actually physically attack somebody to defend myself. It was between my life and their life. And it was a do or die situation. And I had to do what I had to do to survive. So I have been bullied my entire life. And it doesn't matter how you can bully somebody. I've been bullied by. I've been cyberbullied. I have been physically bullied. I have been emotionally bullied. And it's by some of the people I thought were my friends and some of the people I didn't even really know, and I don't even know why they decided to pick on me. But as I got older, I started to learn how bullies act and why they do what they do. I learned it through a little bit of my sociology class. I also learned it from just plain experience. So let me try to give you a scenario, good and bad. Okay, first of all, here's the bad news. You can't change a bully. I know that we have a lot of things on TV where they're saying, we can stop bullying, we got to just show love, we got to show compassion, smother them in love. Well, that doesn't necessarily work. And I'll tell you why. A bully will only change if they want to be changed. I know that doesn't sound too hard, but here's the problem with bullies. They either have a mental illness where it's like a sociopathic style of illness where they gotta feel they got to hurt people and it doesn't bother them. They get off on it. Or there's a situation at home, work, wherever it may be, that they can't control. So what they do is they seek out somebody that they can control and put what they're going through onto them in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not to the magnitude that they have it, but they're going to try to inflict that same scenario onto somebody else so they can control it. They can feel empowered again. And we've all been without power on something. Our hands are tied and we know how helpless we feel. And unfortunately, that's where we sometimes react differently to that situation than, say, somebody that, has a mental illness, a sociopathic mindset. So here's the problem. You cannot necessarily fix a sociopathic mindset. Most of those people end up in jail. If they happen to go to jail, they might be required to go to counseling or go to a halfway house or something to help them fix the problem. But you know what? I've seen so many people that went to anger management classes and other types of situations that were forced upon them. They didn't change. Maybe for a little bit they did, but they went right back to it. And that's because of the fact that they didn't want to change to begin with. They were forced to be changed. So unless that person realizes what they're doing to people or what they're doing to themselves or how they're living their own life, anything that we do to them is going to be completely wasteful. Now, on the other hand, like let's just say the people that want to attack you to get control over something, and be empowered over something. We have a cause that can be fixed in most cases. I don't know what situation each person deals with, but for the most part, it can be solved. The problem with it is if they're too embarrassed to talk about it, or they're too ashamed to talk about it, or ask somebody for help, it's never going to get solved. So what we have to do there is we have to keep our eyes and ears open. Somebody knows them. Somebody knows something that's going on. It cannot be completely closed off. Then what we got to try to do is we got to offer a helping hand to that person if they want it. And if they don't want it, you can't force it. So that's the catch-22. You're running around in circles, if you know what I mean. So what do? Well, that's the problem that I ran into. I realized that in my situations there was really nothing much I could do because a lot of them didn't care. Most of the people that attacked me were sociopathic, but a few I realized were just bullies because they had some type of situation at home. Maybe they were embarrassed about something in themselves and they tried to keep it under control, or they had a self-complexion complex about something that they didn't like on them. So they felt that if they bullied somebody else, nobody's going to pick on them. And sometimes they do that. So I realized that there was not much I could do, and I took things a little bit differently than some other people do. However, so we covered for what makes a bully. We covered about what we can do to try to fix a bully if they want to be fixed. We know what they look for. What they look for is somebody that is maybe an oddball, maybe somebody that sticks to themselves, maybe somebody that's into something that they don't technically conform to. For instance, when I was in school, we had a male cheerleader, and at the time that was really, really, really rare. So, of course, here he is. He's opening himself up to a whole bunch of stuff. Even though he enjoys what he's doing and he had no problem doing it, other people are going to use that as a weakness. I stuck to myself. I didn't talk a lot. I tried to avoid confrontation. I tried to avoid people, and by doing that, they saw that as a form of weakness as well. If somebody is smart or is, more apt to not breaking the rules, those are the people that also get, targeted because they're considered goody-goodies. Now, there are things that you can do to kind of do it yourself. If you go ahead and tell on somebody all the time, or you act really, really annoying around people, you're just obnoxious, of course that's going to bring on stuff. Even though it shouldn't, it will bring on a red flag for a bully to look for. And these are the things they look for. They look for weakness, they look for odd qualities, and they look for people that also has self-complex issues that we don't like to talk about, but they can expose. So those are some of the things that they look for. There's probably a lot more, and I'm sure that we could go on for this for days, but I'm just trying to give this to you as a little brief overview of what I've seen and done. So we can always go into something later on if we so choose. Now, I've seen a lot of people say one of the things that we can do to stop bullying is to tell a teacher, tell a pastor, tell a guidance counselor, tell your parents, tell anybody. You know, we gotta talk about it. So I did that. It didn't work. I appreciate what everybody tried to do. The problem with it is that unless they do something so vile that it's literally criminally chargeable, those people will only get a small detention. Maybe an out-of-school suspension for a week or an in-school suspension for a week. Sometimes just detention. It's just an after-school detention. What that is the equivalent of to somebody that is already bullying, it makes them mad. And it gives them time to stew about it. So it gives them time to want to come back and do it worse. That's what happened to me. That's what led up to my pants being stapled to my butt and my shirt being stapled to my back. The guy was gone for a week. I thought, when they come back, everything's going to be just fine. Maybe they'll leave me alone this time. Instead, they decided that they were going to take it to the next level and physically hurt me. Now, yes, I could have done something. That was criminal. That was physical abuse. However, that person also had a lot of friends. So they were just as nasty. And if I did something to them, I would be retaliated again by his group of friends. Because they picked on me to begin with too. So it just this guy took it to the next level. Unfortunately, that doesn't always get to that level. So unfortunately, if you say something, they just go, think about it, come back and do worse. You got to know where to cut the line, though. And I believe that we need to talk to teachers, we need to talk to guidance counselors and parents and stuff like that, but we need to come up with an efficient plan that is going to stop it. The other thing is that when I went into the parent-teacher conference with the bully and the principal and everything, the first thing out of the bully's parents' mouth was, my son would never do that. I don't teach them to do stuff like this. I don't promote that type of behavior. He couldn't have done it. Well, there's the biggest flag right there. That's the wall that they just put up. And that just gave the bully his way out because the parent doesn't accept the actions of their own children. We don't want to admit that our children are doing some bad things to other people because it reflects us. It hurts us. We take it as a direct insult to us. That's not necessarily the case. But that's what we do. We always take it to a direct insult. So we put up that he would never do it, so I'm going to stop listening right there. And generally, that's what the parents do. The way that you're going to get a parent to work with a bully to stop it is when the parent physically admits it, decides they want to stop it, and work with their child. Maybe they need to be a little bit more vigilant with what's going on in their child's life. But if they come up and they put up that wall and automatically shoot down anything that you're talking about, you've already lost the argument. So all you now have is your parents, yourself, a principal, guidance counselor, whatever who is mediating the thing, going to come up with a punishment for this child that the parents are not going to sit there and try to fix and help fix the problem or talk to them later. Now you got a bully that has now 5-1, 4-1, however many people are in the room, and they know that they're going to be in trouble. So that just puts them up on the defense as well. So I think that when you go to a parent, or parents, teachers, whoever's listening to this, don't just jump at the fact that we need to stop the problem. If somebody says that they're bullying you, that they're being bullied, we need to be observant. We need to talk to the child and say, okay, I'm going to start monitoring this. Anytime something happens, you write it down. Anytime that I can see it, I will try to stop it myself and put it into a situation. Because if they come up and catch them, that kid's not mad at you anymore. So they can only blame themselves, and most of them realize that. So while they're doing that, work with them. Come up with a plan. Try to find what the root of the problem seriously is. like I said, it could be something that is just, inside their home that's bothering them. Maybe they have a complex about themselves. Maybe they just don't feel like they got enough love or attention. Sometimes bullies just do it for attention because they're not getting the attention at home. And if we can find out what that problem is, believe me, we can come up with a plan to make it easier and actually help the bully become a loving citizen of the other classmates. However, if it is something that's a sociopathic type of behavior, this is where you maybe have to go look in deeper, and maybe you need to have a little bit more of a powerful authority or trained individual come in and help you with the situation, because those people don't change unless they either have the medicine or they get therapy and they want the therapy and they actually take the medicine because they want to change. So that's one of the things that I've done, and unfortunately it doesn't work, but I think if we tweak that a little bit better, we will have a lot more success. Now, how did I deal with the bullies? One of the things that I have been given this is an entitlement. Everybody has this. You're entitled to do it when you're born. That is the power and the option to walk away. Believe it or not, walking away does not show a sign of weakness in any way, shape, or form. When I was attacked by bullies, generally they would say stuff to me. Sometimes they'd knock my books out of my hand. But guess what? If I retaliate, I am no better than them. They also know that they completely got to me. And since they know that now that they completely got to me, they're going to do it again. And they're going to try other ways to get to me. The hardest thing that you can do, and it's probably the most powerful thing you can do, is show very little to no emotion and walk away. If you can walk away from a bully in any situation, no matter how bad it escalates, that is the most powerful thing that you can do. Because not only does it show complete strength of character for yourself, but it also gets you out of a potential problem. See, what you don't know is that sometimes when bullies come up and they start attacking people, physically looking for a fight, they have other people around them that are willing to step in and help. You take a shot on them, you might get bum rushed by 2 to 3 other people. And then you can find yourself in serious problems. When I was in karate, one of the biggest techniques that we learned was remove the target. Which means if they come and they're going to throw a punch at your face, you move your head. You block it. You don't retaliate with another punch. You try to diffuse it with your words, because your words are more powerful than you know. If you are seriously wanting to get out of that, you will come up with something to negotiate and diffuse the situation. You might actually be able to find out why they don't like you or why they're doing this to you. And you might realize that it's deeper than you probably thought. So the biggest tool you have is the ability to walk away. And don't let anybody say otherwise. See, I actually had a guy come up and knock my books out of my hand. It went all over the hallway. The kid comes up and knocks him further away down the hall and starts laughing at me as he walks away. Another kid came by to say and help pick up my stuff. He said, "Dude, are you like a sissy or something? Why didn't you attack him?" I said, "For what?" So I'm going to attack him. We're both going to be now going to the office. He didn't swing at me. He just knocked my books out of my hand. That could have been an easy, shoulder block as you walk too close to somebody. I don't have very many witnesses, so I'm going to end up going to the principal's office. I'm going to get in trouble. He's going to either come with me and get in trouble too, or he's going to walk away scot-free. He's going to know he got to me, and therefore he's going to continue it again. I lost. I lose by swinging. So I hope he kind of looked at me and said, "Wow, you're different from anybody else." And I said, "I try to be. And I don't want to stoop to their level." Now, don't get me wrong. If you are in a situation where you are faced with a physical bodily injury, if you don't do anything, and you can't diffuse it with your mouth, you cannot, in your words and your thoughts, you cannot walk away from it, you fight with all your energy, and strength. You do what it takes to get out of that situation with the least amount of problems, of injuries, or whatever. I had that one time. I got surrounded by a bunch of people. One of them had it's not a lead pipe, a galvanized pipe, and they were going to break. They were going to swing it at me. When one of them decided to come swing at me, they had four other ones that were ready to make sure I didn't leave. Not only did I grab the pole from him, I threw him down and I broke his knee. The other ones fled because they didn't expect that to happen. When I realized it was safe, I dropped the pipe and I walked away. To this day, I feel absolutely horrible for having to do that. I don't like hurting anybody. I don't like calling anybody names. I don't like making anybody suffer. And unfortunately, I did that day. And it has scarred me for the rest of my life. I know what I needed to do I needed to do that because I was going to be in trouble physically. I was going to get hurt, possibly killed. I had no choice. But that doesn't make it any better. It still hurts. And I don't want anybody else to have to go through that if they don't have to. But like I said, if you ever get faced with that type of situation, you do what you need to do to get out of it okay. Now, let's talk about words. Words are a very common thing in bullying. They throw out words like you wouldn't believe. They'll even skew your words to make it sound like it's something you didn't say. No matter what name anybody calls you, what racial slur anybody calls you, what degenerative name anybody calls you, bigoted name anybody calls you, words are only powerful if you let them be powerful. They can only cut you if you allow them to cut you. I look at it this way. Yes, it does. You get hit a couple of times. It's going to make some marks. But they're just words. They're words from ignorant people that know nothing. They don't know your situation. And they're using it to try to hurt you. Unlike a sword, when it hits you, it's going to hurt. It's going to cut off things. It's going to make you bleed. Words can do the same thing. But just remember, they're just words. They're just letters stuck together in order to make a word. You can only let them hurt you if you allow them to hurt you. I heard a phrase one time. It says, you can only be defeated if you allow yourself to be defeated. In other words, let's just take a wrestling match. If you're in a wrestling match and you're getting beaten up, you're getting pinned, if you don't have the will to push out anymore and continue, you're going to be defeated. Did that person stop you from that? No, you did. And that is the same principle towards these words. They can only hurt you if you let them hurt you. Just remember the source. Look at the person that's saying it. Remember that what they're saying is ignorant and is intended to hurt you. But don't let it bother you. Just let it go. Elsa said it best in Frozen. Let it go. Now, when you get home, don't stew on it. Don't stew on what people say. You know why? It's going to ruin your night. It's going to ruin your life. It's going to build up inside of you until you have absolutely no nerves left. Then's when it hurts. Then's when it gets to you. I saw people do some horrible things to my ears. My ears stick out. I know that. Why do you think I wore longer hair when I was younger? I know I'm not the most handsome person in the world. I know that. But you know what? That didn't stop people from reminding me about that all the time and making some horrible jokes about it. But when I went home, that was my time. They couldn't reach me there. And I never let that stuff come home and bother me. Now, how do you get rid of that? That's what's really amazing. How do you get rid of these horrible things that happen to you and not go crazy and not get hurt? Well, I'll tell you. For me, it was artwork. For me, it was doing something bigger, and I had a better vision that I wanted to help people. I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to change people's lives. I wanted to make a mark on this world, and I still am working towards that to this day, even though I'm not in school anymore. I want to make things that make people laugh. Have you ever known me not to try to make people laugh? Most of that came because I was bullied myself. And when I see other people laughing, and I can get them on my side to joke around and have fun and not be so depressed all the time, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. That's my medicine to the world. When I create something that opens up people's eyes and gets them talking and gets them to stop thinking about what's going on in their lives for a while, that's my message. That's how I do it with my artwork. I do my radio show the same way. So, use something that you love to forget about life for a while. Go outside and look up at the stars at nighttime. Don't think of anything. Don't bring out any phone. Don't bring out any electronics. No lights. And just stare at the sky. And think that there is no end up there. That's powerful. And it cleanses your soul. You need to cleanse your soul once in a while. That's important. So get out there and do stuff that you love to do, and be with the people that build you up as opposed to tear you down. Don't be with people that are only there for you because you have something to offer them. Be with people that want to be there with you because you can complement each other and you can fulfill each other's lives. That's what you need to look for. So find a hobby. Find something and be a part of that. But what I'm going to encourage everyone to do, especially if you are bullied, is not recluse yourself off from the rest of the world. Do not go inside your room and hide. Do not turn angry. That's not solving the problem. The bully's got you. Instead, turn what they have done to you into something so amazing that it's going to change the world. Even if it's just one life, you've changed the life of somebody. You've opened their eyes to something. You've gotten the conversation started. I can't tell you how gratifying that is and how exciting that is to see. Don't woe is me. Go out there and change the world. Go out there and be a voice. Go out there and be a friend for somebody that needs it. Do something positive with the negative that's being thrown at you and use that as an inspiration to never keep yourself down. It works. And just remember, I'm going to leave you with this thing here before we go to the next thing I want to talk about. Nobody can make you feel inferior except for yourself as well. If you let their words make you feel inferior, then they have done it to you, but only because you let them. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about is the power to forgive. This is probably the most incredible strength that anybody can have and show, is when you forgive somebody. And what it does to your heart, your soul, your mind, your body is incredible. Like I said, I was bullied almost every day of my life. But I forgave everybody at the end of the day. I never went to bed upset. I never went to bed feeling like I was hurt because of these people. By forgiving them, I gave it away. I put it out to the universe. It disappeared. I didn't hold a grudge. And I prayed that someday they would see what they're doing, have their eyes opened, and change. And that's not easy to do, especially to somebody that's hurt you, because you want to retaliate. You want to hurt them back. You want them to feel as bad as they've made you feel. I know it. I felt the same way sometimes. I'm not 100% perfect on this. I'm only human. I went through these emotions too. But when somebody can do something to you and you can forgive them and walk away, not only have you completely empowered yourself, you've emasculated them. And it's the ultimate thing that you can do for anybody or anything that happens to you. Intentional or unintentional. Forgive, forget. But never, ever, well, I shouldn't say forget. Forgive and move on, and never ever forget. Because if you forget, then it's bound to happen again. And all you can ever do for anybody is show kindness. And if they want to attack that kindness, they're going to attack the kindness. But that shows you and shows the world that you've forgiven anybody that's ever hurt you, because you're not going to let that stop you from being who you are and helping other people and being a friend to somebody else. So that's pretty much my talk on bullying. But I do want to talk about one other form of bullying that I want to talk about before I go, and that's cyberbullying. You know, this is probably the most dangerous form of bullying I've ever seen. It doesn't physically hurt you. You know, your body. You're not going to bleed. You're not going to die from it. But it's the most emotionally destroying form of bullying I've ever seen. Because the problem with it is you can't get away from it. Everybody's on social media now. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what have you. And there's always going to be that hater. But what what cyber bullying allows is it puts up this steel curtain of anonymity. Nobody knows who you are. You can pretend to be somebody, and it's not even that real person's name. You can go incognito and physically attack and almost to the point of harass somebody. Every time that they open up their page, there's more hate on their wall. Anytime they go to their email, there's more hate in their email. You can post horrible pictures of people, and you can make fun of them for the world to see. And once it's up there, it's never gone. So, how do you fix that? This is where I think that we need to stand up to our society a little bit more. There are a lot of rules that kind of make it hard. It's getting harder for them to do it, because before there was no rules to stop them. Now there are some rules that if you're under a certain age, they can't do that, and you can go to jail for it if they catch you. But that's the consequence. And if you do it as an adult, you lose your account. Big deal. Do you know how easy it is to start up a new one? I think what we need to do is we need to have our government, our local governments, probably more so than the federal government, step up and create something that allows them to take a stronger action against these type of people. You know, especially with adults, losing a social media is nothing. However, you hit them in their pocket, you know, their wallet, their purse, whatever it may be. You hit them there, they're going to think twice. And it needs to be a substantial hit. They also need to do some other type of retribution in some way, shape, or form if they're caught. And they also need to make it harder for us to make these bogus profiles. They just do. I don't know how we got to do it, but we got to work with our senators. We got to work with our local government. We got to work with our local law enforcement and teach more about cyberbullying. Educate people. And also parents. I know the kids are going to be upset about this. But generally, what I've been seeing now with kids committing suicide over bullying, it comes on cyberbullying more so than at school. But sometimes it can start cyber, and then it transcends into the classroom, because the person that's picking on them is in the school somewhere. And therefore, everybody else that's friends with them sees these posts, and it gets back and around the school very quickly. So, if you go on your, make sure that your kids know that you are able to see their profile at all times. You don't necessarily have to see their email, but you have to look on their walls. You have to look at some of the things that they're doing, and if they have a problem with that, then they don't get a social media account until they're old enough and an adult themselves. That way, you can kind of see what's going on. And if you start to see a lot of hateful stuff coming up, you question that. If you see your child coming home and they have a different type of an attitude, you question that. See where it's coming from. It may not be in school itself. It might be just cyberbullying. I just witnessed probably one of the most unbelievable attacks I've ever had on bullying, cyberbullying against me. And they decided to try to take down my websites. They talked trash about me. and I did nothing wrong. But you know what the best thing I did for? Block. Blocked them. They can't use my name in anything anymore. And if they do use my name, I don't see it. And I'm okay with that. So as our world advances, as our technology advances, we're going to see brand new forms of bullying. We're going to see things that are going to come out that we didn't realize could even happen. So with cyberbullying, it's only going to probably get worse because there's going to be new ways. But if your kids are on social media, make sure that they know that you have the right to look at their profile anytime. They cannot block you from it. And if that happens, things get shut down. It's okay. Your kids are under 18. They are not adults yet. You're still responsible for them. I know you trust them, and show them that you trust them. But if things start getting out of hand, it's going to show up probably there before you'll hear about it if it happens at school. So be vigilant. Be vigilant for your kids. Be vigilant for those people that are being bullied. And if you see some of their friends being bullied, ask your child about it. They may know what's going on. And you might be able to help that child along the way. Maybe through some of the advice I gave you, maybe a different way. I don't know. But you have that opportunity. We cannot sit there and just turn a blind eye to this. But how we handle it has got to change. Because just throwing somebody in ISS or detention or whatever is not going to fix the problem. We have to fix the bully where the problem lies. And I don't know how that is for each individual person because each individual bullying situation is different. But if we keep our eyes open and our minds open, we can solve this problem. We're not going to solve it with love, even though that's part of what we're doing. Just showing somebody kindness is not going to change them from being a bully. It may just change them from not bullying you, but they will find somebody. So that's what I got to say. And if you have any questions about it or you disagree with me, that's okay. I'd love to hear from you anyway. And I'm here to try to stop this problem. I have been an anti-bullying person for a long time. And now I'm even getting into it with the animals because I didn't realize animals are bullied as much as they are too. And generally when you see somebody bullying an animal, they are bullying somebody somewhere. And sometimes that leads to even worse things of potential murders and everything else. So keep your eye open with what you see because it tells you more than you know. As a photographer, I studied people. I studied the world around me. I keep my eyes open all the time. Everything tells a story. You know, that's one of the reasons I like to take pictures of abandoned houses and go through them and see all the vines coming through these condemned homes because they all tell a story. You just got to sit and listen. It may not talk to you like I'm talking to you right now, but you can feel it. And that's the same thing with what we see in the world around us and what's going on. It's telling a story. Listen. Don't be so quick to speak or figure out what you're going to say. Listen. Listening is probably the most powerful thing that we can do as a human being. Listen to the world around you. Sometimes not saying anything is more powerful than saying something at all. Keep your eyes open. See what's going on. Listen to people. Listen to when people talk. Because sometimes what they say is not what they mean. Or sometimes they trick you in their words. Listen. And you can change the world. Or at least the lives of one person and hopefully more. So anyways, like I said, if you want to be, if you want my help, and I'm here to help anybody, I'm totally against bullying of animals, of people, of anything. If I can help spread the word, let me know. I bring people on all the time on the AME radio show where I talk about bullying, and I think it's important. So if you have a story, let me know. I'll bring you on. And all you have to do is go to theamemagazine.com, click any of the links that will send you to an email. Write to me. I'm here. And if all I can do is listen, and that will help you, I'm all for it. Don't hesitate. Talk to me. I'm always going to be here. I'm always going to keep my ears open for you and my heart ready to help. I don't want anybody to go through what I did. But it made me a stronger person. Would I change it? No. Because I don't know if I'd be the same person I am today. I took the bad and turned it into something positive. You can too, if you allow it. But I have no regrets.